Welcome to the English Academy. If this is your first time here, you are in the right place to improve your English through simple and interesting stories. Every story on this channel helps you learn new words, better sentences, and useful life lessons at the same time. Today's story is not only about money. It is about the way successful people think. Many people believe that becoming rich is only about earning more money. But what if that is not true? What if two people earn the same salary, but after 10 years one becomes wealthy while the other is still struggling? What creates that difference? Luck? Education? Family background? Or something much more powerful? The answer is mindset. Today's story will show you how changing the way you think can slowly change your entire life. So relax, listen carefully, and try to understand every sentence. Let's begin. Ryan was 26 years old. He lived in a small apartment in a busy city. Every morning he woke up at 6:30. He quickly got ready, skipped breakfast most days, and rushed to work. His job was not terrible. He worked in a private company as a customer support executive. He earned enough to pay his rent, buy food, and cover his monthly bills. But every month ended the same way. His bank account became almost empty. Whenever he looked at social media, he saw people traveling, buying expensive cars, starting businesses, and enjoying a better life. Ryan always asked himself the same question. Why does everyone seem to move forward except me? He believed he worked hard. Sometimes he even worked overtime. He rarely took holidays. Still, nothing changed. One Friday evening, after a long day at work, Ryan checked his bank balance. He smiled for just 1 second. Then his smile disappeared. His salary had arrived. But before the day ended, most of it was already planned. Rent. Electricity. Internet. Phone bill. Loan payment. Groceries. Transport. There was almost nothing left. Ryan closed his banking app and whispered. There has to be another way. That night he could not sleep. He kept thinking about money. Not because he wanted to become famous. Not because he wanted luxury. He simply wanted freedom. Freedom from stress. Freedom from checking prices every time he entered a shop. Freedom from worrying before every new month. The next morning, Ryan met his best friend, Ethan. They had known each other since college. Both started their careers together. Both earned almost the same salary in their first job. But today, Ethan's life looked very different. He drove a simple but new car. He dressed neatly. He looked relaxed. Most importantly, he never seemed worried about money. Ryan could not understand why. After ordering coffee, Ryan finally asked. Ethan, can I ask you something? Of course, Ethan replied with a smile. How are you doing so well? We started at the same place. We earned almost the same money. But your life keeps improving while mine stays exactly the same. Ethan looked at Ryan for a few seconds. Then he smiled again. You really want the answer? Ryan nodded. I do. Ethan leaned forward. The difference is not our salary. Ryan looked confused. Then what is it? The difference is how we think before we spend, before we work, before we make decisions. Ryan frowned. I don't understand. Ethan picked up a paper napkin and drew 2 small circles. He pointed at the first circle. This is the average mindset. Then he pointed at the second circle. This is the rich mindset. Ryan laughed softly. Mindset? You mean thinking alone can make someone rich? Ethan shook his head. No. Thinking alone changes nothing. But the right thinking creates the right actions. And the right actions repeated for years create a different life. Ryan stayed silent. These words sounded simple. But something about them felt powerful. Ethan continued. Most people believe rich people only have more money. They are wrong. Rich people usually think differently long before they become rich. Ryan listened carefully. For the first time in many months, he felt curious instead of worried. Maybe the problem was not only his income. Maybe the problem was something much deeper. Something he had never questioned before. Ethan stood up. I have somewhere to go. But if you're serious about changing your life, meet me tomorrow morning. Ryan asked. Where? Ethan smiled. At the city library. Ryan looked surprised. The library? Yes. Because before your bank account changes, your mind must change. Ryan watched Ethan leave. Those words stayed inside his head the entire day. Before your bank account changes, your mind must change. Ryan had no idea that one simple meeting at a library would begin the biggest transformation of his life. And it all started with one question. What if I have been thinking the wrong way all these years? That question was about to change everything. The next morning, Ryan woke up much earlier than usual. Normally, he would spend weekends sleeping late. But today felt different. There was something inside him. Not excitement. Not fear. It was curiosity. He wanted to know why Ethan had called him to a library instead of a business meeting or a financial seminar. After taking a quick shower, Ryan reached the city library at exactly 9 o'clock. The building was old but beautiful. Large wooden shelves were filled with thousands of books. The place was quiet. People of different ages were reading with complete focus. Ryan looked around. He noticed Ethan sitting near a window with 3 books on the table. Good morning, Ethan said. You actually came. Ryan smiled. I almost didn't. Ethan laughed. That is exactly why most people never change. They almost do the right thing. But almost is never enough. Ryan sat down. His eyes moved toward the books. One was about personal finance. Another was about habits. The third was about psychology. Ryan looked confused. I thought you would teach me how to make more money. Ethan closed one of the books. I will. But first you need to understand something. He picked up a blank sheet of paper. Then he wrote one sentence in large letters. Income follows value. Ryan read it twice. What does that mean? Ethan asked. Why do some doctors earn more than others? Ryan answered. Because they are more experienced. Exactly. Why do some business owners earn more? They solve bigger problems. Correct. Why do some teachers become famous while others don't? Ryan thought for a moment. Because people believe they are better. Ethan smiled. So what is the common point? Ryan stayed silent. Ethan answered. They create more value. He continued. Most people wake up every morning asking one question. How can I earn more money? But wealthy people usually ask a different question. How can I become more valuable? Ryan slowly nodded. He had never looked at money this way. For years, he believed that a higher salary was the answer. He never asked whether he was becoming more skilled, more useful, more valuable. Ethan opened another notebook. Tell me honestly. What did you learn during the last 12 months? Ryan looked embarrassed. I don't know. Any new skills? No. Any books? No. Any online courses? Ryan shook his head again. Any investments in yourself? No. Ethan looked at him calmly. Then why are you expecting a different financial result? Ryan felt uncomfortable. For the first time, he realized something important. Every year he expected his income to grow. But he never grew himself. That truth hurt. Ethan noticed Ryan's expression. I'm not saying this to make you feel bad. I'm saying it because this is where your new life begins. He pointed toward the people reading in the library. Look around. What do you see? Ryan answered. People reading books. Ethan smiled. I see people investing. Ryan looked surprised. Investing? Yes. Some invest money. Some invest time. The smartest people invest both. Ryan looked at the shelves again. Suddenly they looked different. These were not just books anymore. They were ideas. Knowledge. Experience collected from thousands of successful people. All waiting for someone willing to learn. Ethan continued. Poor thinking says. Learning is expensive. Rich thinking says. Remaining the same is even more expensive. Ryan remembered something. Last month he had spent a large amount of money on a new phone. He didn't really need it. He simply wanted it because his friends had newer models. But when he saw an online course costing much less, he thought. Too expensive. Now that decision suddenly looked foolish. Ethan smiled. Let me tell you a short story. There were two workers. Both earned the same salary. The first worker spent every extra rupee on entertainment. The second worker spent part of it learning communication, leadership, and digital skills. 5 years later. The first worker was still waiting for a promotion. The second worker became the manager. The salary difference did not create the mindset. The mindset created the salary difference. Ryan stayed completely silent. Every sentence felt personal. It was almost as if Ethan was describing his own life. Ethan asked another question. When you receive your salary, what is the first thing you buy? Ryan answered honestly. Usually something I wanted for a long time. A watch. Headphones. New clothes. Sometimes food from expensive restaurants. Ethan nodded. And after that? I save whatever is left. Ethan smiled gently. Most people do exactly that. Successful people often reverse the process. Ryan looked confused again. What do you mean? They invest first. They save second. They spend what remains. Ryan repeated those words quietly. Invest first. Spend later. It sounded simple. Yet Ryan had never lived that way. For years he had rewarded himself before building his future. Ethan reached into his bag. He removed an old notebook. Its pages were filled with handwritten notes. This notebook changed my life. Ryan opened it carefully. Every page contained ideas. Goals. Mistakes. Lessons. Books to read. Skills to learn. Monthly plans. Ryan looked amazed. You wrote all this? Ethan nodded. For 6 years. Ryan smiled. No wonder your life looks different. Ethan laughed. It isn't magic. It is consistency. Small improvements. Repeated every single week. The clock on the wall showed noon. 3 hours had passed. Ryan didn't even notice. For the first time in years. He wasn't thinking about buying something. He was thinking about becoming someone. As they walked out of the library, Ethan said one final sentence. Ryan. The richest investment you will ever make. Is the one nobody can steal. Ryan asked. What is that? Ethan smiled. Your mind. Ryan looked ahead. For the first time, he understood that becoming rich was not about chasing money. It was about becoming the kind of person that money naturally follows. And that realization marked the true beginning of his journey. Ryan could not stop thinking about Ethan's words. The richest investment you will ever make is your mind. That sentence stayed with him the entire week. On Monday morning, he followed the same daily routine. He woke up. He got ready. He caught the bus. He reached the office. Everything looked the same. The same building. The same desk. The same computer. The same people. But something inside Ryan had changed. For the first time, he started observing instead of complaining. He noticed something interesting. Every employee around him was busy. But not everyone was growing. Some people worked very hard. Others worked very smart. There was a big difference. Around 11 o'clock, the manager entered the office. He announced that a new team leader would be selected next month. Everyone became excited. People immediately started talking. I hope I get promoted. I've worked here for 4 years. I deserve it. Ryan quietly listened. During lunch, one of his co-workers, Jake, sat beside him. Jake sighed. I know who will become the team leader. Ryan asked. Who? Probably Daniel. Ryan looked surprised. But Daniel joined only 2 years ago. Jake nodded. I know. But he always gets opportunities. Ryan looked toward Daniel. He was not the smartest person in the office. He was not the oldest employee. He did not work the longest hours. Then why did everyone believe he would get promoted? Ryan decided to observe Daniel carefully. Throughout the day, Daniel did something different. Whenever someone had a problem, he helped. Whenever the manager asked a question, he answered calmly. Whenever a new task appeared, he volunteered. He never complained. He never said, "That is not my job." Instead, he always asked, "How can I help?" Ryan remembered Ethan's words. Income follows value. Suddenly everything made sense. Daniel was valuable. Not because he worked more hours, but because he solved more problems. That evening Ryan met Ethan again. I learned something today, Ryan said. Ethan smiled. What happened? Ryan explained everything about Daniel. Ethan listened carefully. Then he nodded. Exactly. The marketplace rewards problem solvers. Ryan asked. So becoming rich is about solving problems? In many ways, yes. The bigger the problem you solve, the greater your value becomes. Ryan thought for a moment. But most people spend their time avoiding problems. Ethan laughed. And that is exactly why most people stay average. They sat on a park bench. Children were playing nearby. Some people were walking their dogs. Others were looking at their phones. Ethan picked up a small stone from the ground. He held it in his hand. Imagine this stone is a problem. Most people throw it away. But successful people ask, can I turn this stone into something valuable? Ryan smiled. I've never thought like that. I know. Because schools teach us how to answer questions. But life rewards people who solve problems. Ryan stayed quiet. Everything he learned was changing the way he looked at the world. Ethan continued. Let me ask you another question. If your company disappeared tomorrow, would another company happily hire you? Ryan immediately answered. I hope so. Ethan smiled. I didn't ask if you hope. I asked if they would. Ryan became silent. He wasn't sure anymore. He knew how to do his current job. But was that enough? Did he have skills that made him different? Did he have something special? The answer hurt. Not really. That night Ryan opened his laptop. Instead of watching random videos, he searched. How to improve communication skills. Then he searched. Customer psychology. After that, leadership for beginners. Hours passed without him noticing. For the first time in years, he was learning something that could improve his future. The next morning he reached the office 30 minutes early. His co-workers were surprised. Jake laughed. What happened? Did you lose a bet? Ryan smiled. No. I just wanted to prepare. Jake shook his head. You work too hard. Ryan simply smiled. Inside, he remembered another lesson. Average people laugh at discipline. Until disciplined people become successful. Over the next few weeks, Ryan started changing small habits. Every morning, he read 10 pages of a book. Every evening, he spent 30 minutes learning a new skill. Every weekend, he reviewed what he had learned. The changes were small, almost invisible, but they were consistent. One afternoon, an angry customer called the company. No one wanted to handle the situation. The customer was shouting loudly. Several employees looked away. Ryan took a deep breath. I'll handle it. The conversation lasted almost 20 minutes. Ryan stayed calm. He listened carefully. He apologized sincerely. He found a solution. At the end of the call, the customer thanked him. The manager had quietly watched everything. Later that day, the manager walked to Ryan's desk. Good job today. Ryan smiled. Thank you. The manager continued. I've noticed something. You've changed. Ryan looked surprised. Really? You ask better questions. You help others. You stay calm under pressure. Keep doing that. Then the manager walked away. Ryan couldn't stop smiling. It wasn't because of the compliment. It was because he finally understood something important. Success doesn't arrive in one big moment. It arrives through hundreds of small improvements that almost nobody notices. That evening Ryan called Ethan. You were right. What happened? The manager noticed my effort. Ethan laughed. I knew he would. Ryan asked. How? Because value is difficult to hide. If you become better every day, eventually the world notices. Ryan stood near his apartment window. The city lights filled the night sky. For years he had prayed for more money. Now, he had started praying for more wisdom. More discipline. More skills. Because he finally understood. Money was not the starting point. It was often the result. And for the first time in his life, Ryan stopped chasing success. He started becoming the kind of person that success would naturally chase. A few days later, Ryan noticed something that he had never paid attention to before. People around him had very different conversations. Some talked about discounts. Some talked about celebrities. Some complained about their jobs. Some blamed the government. Others blamed their boss. And a few blamed their luck. Ryan quietly listened. Then he remembered something Ethan once said. Listen carefully to people's conversations. They reveal their future. At first, Ryan did not understand what that meant. But now he did. People who always talked about problems rarely looked for solutions. People who always complained almost never changed. People who kept blaming others never accepted responsibility. That evening, Ryan met Ethan again. They walked slowly through a nearby garden. Ryan asked, Ethan, why do some people stay stuck for years even when they know what to do? Ethan smiled. Because knowledge alone changes nothing. Ryan looked confused. What do you mean? Ethan pointed toward a fitness area in the park. Several people were exercising. Everyone here knows exercise is healthy. But how many actually stay consistent for 5 years? Ryan nodded. Very few. Exactly. The problem isn't information. The problem is action. Ryan became silent. He remembered how many motivational videos he had watched. Hundreds. Maybe thousands. He felt excited while watching them. But the excitement disappeared after a day or two. Nothing really changed. Ethan continued. Motivation is like a spark. It starts the fire. But discipline keeps the fire burning. Ryan repeated those words slowly. Discipline keeps the fire burning. Ethan smiled. That's the rich mindset. The average person asks, how do I feel today? The successful person asks, what needs to be done today? Whether they feel like it or not. Ryan suddenly remembered his own routine. Some mornings he skipped reading because he felt lazy. Some evenings he skipped learning because he was tired. He realized he was still allowing his emotions to control his actions. The next morning, his alarm rang at 6 o'clock. Ryan wanted to sleep. His bed felt warm. His room was quiet. His mind whispered, just 10 more minutes. For a moment, he almost agreed. Then another voice appeared. The future you want is created by the choices you make today. Ryan immediately got out of bed. He smiled. For the first time, he had defeated his own excuses. That small victory gave him confidence. Over the next month, Ryan built simple daily habits. Wake up early. Read 10 pages. Exercise for 20 minutes. Learn one new skill. Write one lesson before sleeping. None of these habits looked extraordinary. But together, they slowly created an extraordinary person. One Friday evening, the company announced the new team leader. Everyone gathered in the meeting room. Ryan's heart beat faster. The manager smiled. I want someone who solves problems. I want someone people trust. I want someone who keeps learning. After a short pause, he announced the name. Daniel. Everyone clapped. Ryan also clapped. He wasn't disappointed. A few months earlier, he would have felt jealous. Now, he felt inspired. After the meeting, Daniel walked toward Ryan. Thank you. Ryan looked surprised. For what? You've helped me many times. You never refused when I needed support. I appreciate that. Ryan smiled. No problem. Daniel then said something unexpected. There will be another leadership position opening soon. I think you should prepare. Ryan's eyes widened. Really? Daniel nodded. You're changing. People notice. Ryan walked home with a smile. Years ago, he wanted quick success. Now, he wanted continuous growth. That evening he called Ethan. I didn't get promoted. Ethan asked calmly. How do you feel? Ryan smiled. Happy. Ethan laughed. That's a different answer. Ryan nodded. Because 6 months ago I wanted a promotion. Today I want progress. If I keep improving, the promotion will eventually come. Ethan remained silent for a few seconds. Then he said, Congratulations. Ryan laughed. I didn't get promoted. I know. But today you proved something. What? You stopped comparing your chapter 1 with someone else's chapter 10. Ryan looked at the night sky. For years, he had measured success by looking at others. Now, he measured success by looking at yesterday's version of himself. That single change made him feel peaceful. Before sleeping, Ryan opened his notebook. He wrote today's lesson in bold letters. Rich people compete with themselves. Average people compete with everyone else. He closed the notebook. A gentle smile appeared on his face. For the first time, he wasn't in a race against the world. He was simply becoming better. One day at a time. And deep inside, he knew that this mindset was slowly building a future that money alone could never buy. Months passed. Ryan was no longer the same person. The change was not visible in his clothes. It was not visible in his phone. It was not even visible in his bank account. The biggest change was inside his mind. He had stopped asking, "Why is life unfair?" Instead, he asked, "What can I do better today?" That single question changed the direction of every day. One Monday morning, the company announced an important project. It was the biggest project of the year. The client was a large international company. If the project failed, the company could lose millions. The manager entered the meeting room with a serious face. "I need volunteers." The room became silent. Everyone looked down. No one wanted extra responsibility. No one wanted extra pressure. Ryan remembered something Ethan had taught him. Responsibility is heavy. That is why most people avoid it. But responsibility also brings rewards. Ryan slowly raised his hand. "I'll do it." The room became quiet. Several co-workers looked surprised. Jake whispered, "Are you crazy?" Ryan smiled. "Maybe." The manager nodded. "Good. You'll lead a small team." Ryan suddenly realized what he had agreed to. He had never led a team before. For a moment, fear entered his mind. What if I fail? Then another thought appeared. What if this is the opportunity I've been waiting for? That evening Ryan called Ethan. "I think I made a mistake." Ethan laughed. "What happened?" "I volunteered to lead the biggest project in the company. And now I'm scared." Ethan smiled. "Good." Ryan looked confused. "Good?" "Yes. Growth usually feels uncomfortable. If your dreams don't scare you a little, they probably aren't big enough." Ryan took a deep breath. "So what should I do?" Ethan answered. "Prepare more than everyone else. Confidence doesn't come from luck. It comes from preparation." The next morning, Ryan arrived at the office 1 hour early. He made a detailed plan. He divided the project into small tasks. He assigned responsibilities clearly. Instead of trying to do everything himself, he trusted his team. Every evening, he reviewed the day's progress. Every morning, he solved problems before they became bigger. Whenever someone made a mistake, Ryan didn't shout. He asked, "What can we learn from this?" Slowly, the team became stronger. People enjoyed working with him. One afternoon, a major problem appeared. An important file was accidentally deleted. Without that file, the project could not move forward. Panic spread across the office. One team member almost started crying. "I'm sorry. This is my fault." Ryan remained calm. Instead of blaming anyone, he said, "Let's focus on the solution." For the next 4 hours, the entire team worked together. Finally, the file was recovered. The project was saved. After everyone left, the manager walked toward Ryan. "I've been watching you." Ryan smiled. "I hope that's a good thing." The manager laughed. "It is. You know what's different about you?" Ryan waited. You don't waste energy blaming people. You use your energy solving problems. Ryan immediately remembered Ethan's words. The rich mindset looks for solutions. The poor mindset looks for someone to blame. The project was finally completed. 2 weeks later, the international client visited the office. They were impressed. The project had been delivered before the deadline. The quality was excellent. The client decided to sign another contract. That afternoon, the company's director personally came to meet Ryan. He shook Ryan's hand. Excellent work. You have a bright future. Ryan thanked him politely. But something surprised him. A year ago, those words would have been the happiest moment of his life. Now, he smiled. But stayed humble. Because he understood something important. Success is not a destination. It is a habit. If you stop growing, success slowly disappears. That evening, Ryan met Ethan once again. They sat in their favorite cafe. Ryan shared everything that had happened. Ethan listened carefully. Then he asked, "So, what's the biggest lesson you've learned?" Ryan smiled. "I finally understand that opportunities don't appear first. They appear after preparation. If I had not changed my mindset months ago, I would never have raised my hand. And even if I had, I wouldn't have been ready." Ethan nodded proudly. Exactly. The rich mindset doesn't wait for opportunities. It prepares for them. Ryan looked outside the window. People were walking quickly. Some looked happy. Some looked tired. Some looked worried. He realized something. Everyone was running toward a better future, but very few were preparing themselves for it. That night, Ryan opened his notebook. He wrote another lesson in bold letters. Opportunities don't change lives. Prepared people do. He closed the notebook with confidence. His journey was still far from over. But now, he knew he was walking in the right direction. And that made all the difference. A few weeks later, Ryan received an email from the Human Resources Department. He opened it without expecting anything special. The subject line read, "Congratulations." His heart started beating faster. He opened the email. "Dear Ryan, based on your performance, leadership, and contribution to the recent project, we are pleased to offer you the position of assistant team leader." Ryan read the email again. Then a third time. A smile slowly appeared on his face. He had finally received his first promotion. But what surprised him the most was his reaction. He wasn't shouting. He wasn't jumping with excitement. Instead, he quietly whispered, "This is only the beginning." The old Ryan wanted success to impress people. The new Ryan wanted success to improve himself. The next day everyone in the office congratulated him. Jake smiled. "You finally did it." Ryan thanked him. Then Jake asked, "Tell me honestly. What was your secret?" Ryan thought for a moment. Then he replied, "I stopped chasing money." Jake looked confused. "What do you mean?" "I started chasing growth. The money simply followed." Jake remained silent. He had expected Ryan to mention luck. Or hard work. Or networking. Instead, Ryan talked about mindset. That evening Ryan met Ethan for dinner. As soon as Ethan saw Ryan's face, he smiled. "You got promoted." Ryan laughed. "How did you know?" Ethan replied, "Your eyes look different. They don't look worried anymore." Ryan nodded. "You were right. It really started with changing my thinking." Ethan smiled. "And now comes the dangerous part." Ryan looked surprised. Dangerous? Yes. Success can make people comfortable. And comfort is the biggest enemy of growth. Ryan became serious. So what should I do now? Ethan answered immediately. Stay a student. The moment you think you know everything, you stop growing. Ryan wrote those words in his notebook. Stay a student forever. Over the next few months, Ryan continued reading every day. He attended workshops. He improved his communication. He learned basic investing. He learned about budgeting. He learned about business. He also started teaching junior employees. Something interesting happened. Whenever Ryan taught someone else, his own understanding became stronger. One afternoon, a new employee named Lucas joined the company. Lucas looked nervous. Ryan remembered his own first day. He walked over and smiled. Welcome. If you ever need help, just ask. Lucas smiled with relief. During the next few weeks, Ryan guided him patiently. One day Lucas asked, "Why are you helping me so much?" Ryan smiled. "Because someone once helped me." Lucas asked, "Who?" "My friend Ethan. And he taught me something I'll never forget." "What was it?" Ryan answered, "Knowledge grows when you share it." Lucas smiled. "I'll remember that." Months passed. Ryan's salary increased. But something else had changed. Earlier, whenever he earned more, he spent more. Now, whenever he earned more, he invested more. His emergency fund grew. His investments slowly increased. His stress slowly disappeared. One Sunday afternoon, Ryan visited his parents. His mother smiled. "You look happier these days." Ryan laughed. "I am." His father asked, "Did you win a lottery?" Ryan smiled. "No. I changed the way I think." His father looked confused. Ryan continued. "I used to believe money creates peace. But now I know. Peace helps you make better financial decisions." His father nodded slowly. "I wish I had learned that when I was your age." That sentence stayed in Ryan's mind. On his way home, he realized something. Most people spend years learning how to earn money, but very little time learning how to manage it. That night he opened his notebook again. He looked at the first page. The words Ethan had written months ago were still there. Income follows value. Ryan smiled. Now he truly understood those words. He turned to a fresh page. Then he wrote another lesson in bold letters. Rich people don't only build wealth. They build the person who can create wealth again and again. Ryan closed the notebook. Outside, the city looked exactly the same. The buildings had not changed. The roads had not changed. The people had not changed. But Ryan had. And sometimes, one changed mind is enough to create an entirely different future. 5 years passed. Ryan was no longer struggling to survive every month. His life looked completely different. He had a better position. A higher income. Healthy savings. Investments that quietly grew every month. Most importantly, he no longer feared money. He controlled it. One Saturday morning, Ryan received a message from Ethan. "Meet me at our old library." Ryan smiled. It had been years since they had visited that place together. When Ryan entered the library, everything looked familiar. The wooden shelves. The quiet atmosphere. The same large window where Ethan had once written 4 simple words on a piece of paper. Income follows value. Ethan was already waiting. His hair had a few more gray strands now. But the smile on his face was exactly the same. Ryan walked over and shook his hand. It's been a long time. Ethan laughed. But you've come a long way. They sat at the same table. For a few moments, neither of them spoke. Then Ethan asked. So, do you remember the first question you asked me here? Ryan smiled. I asked why our lives were so different even though we earned almost the same salary. And now? Ryan looked around the library. I know the answer. The salary was never the real difference. The mindset was. Ethan nodded proudly. You've learned well. Just then, a young man walked into the library. He looked worried. He sat alone with his head down. Ryan quietly watched him. He looked exactly like Ryan had looked years ago. Lost. Confused. Tired. After a few minutes, the young man walked toward them. Excuse me. I couldn't help hearing your conversation. Can I ask you something? Ryan smiled. Of course. The young man took a deep breath. I work very hard. I save whenever I can. But my life never improves. What am I doing wrong? Ryan looked at Ethan. Ethan simply smiled. Without saying a word. He knew this was Ryan's moment. Ryan turned toward the young man. Instead of giving advice immediately, he asked, Can I ask you a few questions first? The young man nodded. What do you usually do after work? I watch videos. Scroll through social media. Meet friends. Ryan nodded. When was the last time you learned a new skill? The young man stayed silent. When was the last time you read a book? Again. Silence. When was the last time you invested in yourself before buying something you wanted? The young man slowly looked down. I don't remember. Ryan smiled kindly. I was exactly like you. The young man looked surprised. You? Ryan laughed. Yes. I thought earning more money would solve everything. But I was wrong. What changed? Ryan pointed to his head. This. My thinking. He continued. The day I stopped asking, how can I become rich? And started asking, how can I become more valuable? My life slowly changed. The young man listened carefully. Ryan continued. Don't chase money. Build skills. Build discipline. Build character. Money follows those things. The young man asked. So becoming rich takes time? Ryan smiled. Yes. But staying poor because you never change takes even longer. The young man laughed softly. For the first time that day, hope appeared on his face. Before leaving, Ryan took out his notebook. It was old now. Some pages were worn. The corners were folded. He tore out one blank page. Then he wrote 5 simple rules. 1. Learn every day. 2. Solve problems. 3. Stay disciplined. 4. Invest before spending. 5. Never stop growing. Ryan handed the page to the young man. Read these every morning. The young man accepted it carefully. I will. He smiled. Thank you. After he left, Ethan looked at Ryan with pride. Today, you became the teacher. Ryan smiled. I only repeated what you taught me. Ethan shook his head. No. You did something even better. You lived it. As they walked out of the library, Ryan looked back one final time. Years ago, he had entered that building looking for money. Instead, he had found a new way of thinking. And that single change had changed every part of his life. He finally understood the greatest truth. Wealth does not begin in your wallet. It begins in your mind. When your mindset grows, your habits improve. When your habits improve, your skills increase. When your skills increase, your value rises. And when your value rises, money eventually follows. That is why true wealth is never built overnight. It is built one thought, one habit, one decision, and one day at a time. Thank you for watching this story. If you enjoyed it and learned something valuable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the English Academy. Keep learning. Keep growing. And remember, the richest life always begins with the richest mindset.